I'm back. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Carl Nespoli is Dropping Names podcast, where some names you may recognize and others you may not. That's not to say that you haven't seen my next guest. I have a list right in front of me of just all of her credits and just it just goes on and on and on. So I'm going to start with just over 20 years experience in martial arts. She's got 2 black belts. She's an actress. She's a stunt double. She's a model. She's a wife. She's a badass. She has performed stunts in the movie Beetlejuice as a stunt double. She's also worked on Superman, Peacemaker, Bad Boys, music videos. I mean, this girl is unbelievable. She's also, if you're a big fan of Cobra Kai, we've got the actress Maria. Please give a warm welcome to this badass stunt girl, Jewelianna Ramos Ortiz. Look at you. Look at you.
Hey, thanks, Carl. Thank you for having me.
First thing I say to all my guests, how did I get you here? You know, this is not a paid gig.
Stop. I'm honored.
The honor is mine. I first met you and your husband a couple of months ago at a show.
Yeah.
And, I always do a little bit in investigating. Girl, you've been busy. I mean, seriously. And we're gonna dive into that. How you got started and all that good stuff. But playing with dolls and playing house, that wasn't for you. You had to get into all this.
Yeah. Instead of playing with dolls, I was basically born and raised on the mats. My parents were my instructors, my aunts and uncles. They were my other instructors. They all had karate schools. And so I was kicking people in the face instead. I started out in Taekwondo, in Junri Taekwondo. I got caught up in the kindergarten peer pressure, I call it, where all the little girls were like, karate's for boys. You can't do karate. Ew. You got to do dance and gymnastics and cheerleading and blah, 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 blah. And then I ended up getting a little strayed away for a few years. And at 8 years old, I came back to the martial arts. And I remember, I still can close my eyes and remember what that day felt like when I got my white belt again. And I was training with my dad, and I looked at him and I said, I want to do this for the rest of my life. I got bit by the karate bug and I had karate fever. I didn't want to leave the karate school. I wanted to sleep there. It's all I could eat, sleep, drink, think about. It was my everything.
What was your influence? I mean, a lot of stunt people credit Fall Guy, Hooper, stuff like that. Did any TV show, person, movie influence you?
So when I was little, I had my dad to look up to. Seriously, he was my hero. And I saw the cool stuff that he was doing and I wanted to do it too. But I think what solidified it for me actually was Sailor Moon. So I would watch Sailor Moon at home before anime was cool.
Right.
Now that it's super cool, I can talk about it, but I used to get bullied for it.
Save that bully thing, for later. Look ahead.
But I remember watching Sailor Moon and just thinking that these girls are saving the world doing cool fighting stuff. And it sealed the deal for me.
Right. Now you mentioned bully. Were you bullied?
Yeah.
You were.
Surprisingly. Actually, not so surprisingly. I may put myself out there. Every once in a while, I'll drop one of these old pictures just to remind people, like, I had a glow up. I didn't look like this in elementary school, but I had glasses. So I have a negative 7.5 eyesight to this day. So when I was 5 years old, I got my first set of glasses. So I was that little girl, thick glasses.
Yeah.
I had braces and I had a really awkward stage. And again, I wasn't doing the traditional thing. I wasn't doing dance and gymnastics and cheerleading. I was at the karate school and it's all I wanted to talk about. And so I kind of just was, I was.
What I notice about you is that you're so animated. Now, acting, actress, obviously, you're on a hit show. The ratings were, through the roof. But what's your interest? What's more of an interest? 20 years martial arts. I mean, you're as a badass as they come. But acting, I see you like a lead in your own show.
That's so kind.
Yeah, no, and I'm not here just pouring it on. What's the interest level compared to martial arts?
I will say my first love is stunts.
Okay.
I love to hit the ground. There's no better feeling than to hit the ground and hear the visceral reaction from people.
Yeah.
I love to wreck, and I love challenging myself because I've worked so hard to build these physical skills, the body awareness, and just the love for doing hard things, that as I'm young and physically capable, I'm really in love with getting to challenge myself every day at work. So my first love is stunts. Now, I do love storytelling in general. I think that we kind of get that misconstrued, or there's this general, like, you need to pick. Because then if you come into stunts and you say you want to be an actor, then nobody takes you seriously, because it's like, oh, they're just taking stunts as like a back road to get into acting. They don't.
Right.
Or if the other way around, somebody starts doing acting, but they say, oh, I want to get into stunts, then all the actors are like, oh, they don't want to take the time to actually be an actor and build their craft. And so I think that there needs to be a respect for both, but I don't think that you can only do one or the other.
Right.
You just need to work twice as hard to build and train in that craft, because every once in a while, you'll go up to a stunt performer and you'll say, hey, are you comfortable with lines? But he says yes.
Yeah.
But we get really upset as stunt performers when an actor's like, yeah, I do my own stunts, because they don't know how long we've trained or how many hours we've spent hitting the ground. When's the last time you had a concussion, dude? No, you don't do stunts. Yeah, you can take a reaction, but if I ask you to fall 20 feet, high fall into an airbag, are you going to do it properly? Are you going to break your neck? Where's the line? But I think that there needs to be the same amount of respect for the other craft, right? As stunt performers, knowing where to say, like, I have taken the time and energy to train stunts. I'm a stunt performer, but I have not taken the same amount of time and energy to build the craft that is acting. So my first love, and where I dedicate a lot of my time and energy, is stunts. But I do love storytelling. And so I can hope that there are more acting roles out there that I get to do what I love: stunts, action, but also tell a story with my own
That's
voice.
awesome. That's awesome. You have crossed over, quite a few barriers. Hispanic stunt women. I mean, you're kind of. I mean, there's a couple of others, but you're like a pioneer and possibly, a motivator to young Latina women that say, hey, you know what, I can do that. Now that the playing field is kind of even. Years ago, it may have been a little bit different, but it's interesting how now African American, Latin, Asian, women are getting recognized and getting treated and getting paid the same as men are. And I think that you're coming into a good time to be out there. And your husband also, Justin Ortiz. Okay, he's also stuntman, stunt double, actor. He's even wrestling now. I got to see some of his work, and pretty impressive. And what I really liked about you two guys is your wedding photo. Okay, yeah. If you Google Jewelianna Ortiz or Justin, their wedding photo is pretty cool. And I'm not going to give it away. I'm going to have you go on the internet and then search it, or maybe look you up. It's one of the coolest wedding photos that I've seen, and it's so typical of you guys. And that was also pretty impressive. But I mentioned earlier bullying. So you were bullied. Was that a little bit of a motivation, or was that just kind of you were prepared? Obviously, being a little person, but this, this war machine. Did that affect you at all? Was that a part of your growth?
So I think bullying is a rite of passage. I think sometimes we make it larger than life. I think you're going to grow up and you're going to have adversities. And you have to be comfortable with people saying things about you that may not be true. You have to be comfortable hearing that some people don't like you. You have to be comfortable with hearing hard truths like, you're ugly. Like, shoot, maybe I was.
Right.
But like, I was comfortable in my own skin, and I still had my parents telling me that I was beautiful. And so I learned how to, that person may think that I'm ugly, but my mom and dad think that I'm beautiful. So I think I'm beautiful. And so I think it's just everybody experiences bullying at some level in some way or another. I don't think it was a huge hurdle for me personally. I remember experiencing it. I think the biggest hurdle that kind of was my huge motivation was I was in a really bad car accident when I was 15, and I chipped a piece of a vertebrae. And so I had essentially a broken back. And when I was in the hospital and they took the 2D scan, it looked like there was a crack across my back, and they put me in the hospital and immovable neck brace, all of the sorts, morphine, a ton of morphine. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't eat a crumb of food, a drop of water for 3 days because I was getting ready to go into back surgery. And my dad fought really hard for me to have, I think it was like a 3D MRI. And back then that was kind of hard to get through insurance. And eventually we got it, and we saw that I actually didn't need back surgery. But needless to say, those 3 days in that hospital on morphine, being told, you're lucky if you ever get to walk again, but you will never do martial arts again. I think having to process that for 3 days and just look at my mom, tell her, Mom, I'm so sad. I think that was like that initial big, like, I'm going to overcome this, and I'm going to go on to do more than would be enough to prove that I could. So as soon as I got out of the hospital, I went to physical therapy, and instead of going back in to train like all the crazy flipping and tricking, and XMA was really big at the time, and that's what everybody was interested in, I just honed in on my basics. And so that's why I have the sidekick that I have. That's why I have the stances and the traditional background that I have, because that's all I could train. And so I poured hours, thousands of hours into just that. And I went on to get my world titles in NASCA for traditional sword and for traditional Korean forms. And I eventually, after that, got into the martial arts business industry. And I just think I had been told no, or I had been told that something was impossible. And I went on to overcome it. And that, just keeping that promise to yourself, has allowed me to go on to do everything. So that was like that big motivator change versus bullying.
First of all, I can't thank you enough for just being so open. And I know there may be somebody out there that it will resonate with. So I can't thank you enough. Look at you now. I mean, honestly, Justin and you were originally hired on Cobra Kai, but not as talent actors. They actually made the parts for you. How does that happen?
So, funny enough, Justin worked on Cobra Kai season 3 as a Cobra Kai stunt guy. So he was in that big oneer fight scene. And I'll let him tell his story when he comes.
Yes,
But
please do.
He had just that connection with Cobra Kai. And later on, Don Lee was at my retiring competition in Chicago at AKA Nationals. And as I got off stage and I just did my retirement form, I approached him and I was like, hey, by the way, I just retired so I could do stunts full time. My career has taken off faster than I thought it would. And I'm so grateful. If there's an email for me to send you my stuff, I'd love to. And we just kept talking all night. And he had Una there, one of the other Cobra Kai actresses, and we all hit it off. And so after talking, when we were back in Atlanta, I had sent him an email with my resume and my headshot and reel. He randomly messaged me and tried to hire me on something else. I was already booked. But then later on, he was at a training with Justin. And he mentioned to him, like, hey, I'm in pre-production for Cobra Kai season 6. And this is kind of what's happening in this season. But I see something even bigger and better for you guys. And so he was like, Justin, I see you being this and this and this. And like, maybe having a mohawk too, like a Spanish hawk. He called it from the beginning. And then he said to him, I have a spot in my head for Jules too. Justin came home and told me all about it. Later on, next time I saw Don, we were chatting about it. And he was like, I see this for you. You would be the girl that's like spicy and in her head and da-da-da. And he just started. He came up with these ideas and he had us in pre-production, like shoot some previs, just showing our technical aspect. Because obviously it's very closely modeled after sport karate. And that's where our expertise, that's our background.
Yeah.
And he took it back to production at a meeting and they did it. They actually wrote it in. Now, funny story there. They called Justin and they were like, congratulations, you got the role of Diego. We were like, yeah. So I keep my phone close by because I'm like, my call's coming.
Yes.
My call's coming for Maria. Like, I know it. And I get the call and I pick it up and they go, are you available to read today? And I was like, sure.
You willed it. You willed it to yourself. Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But I didn't get the role. I got asked to read for it. And I was like, oh, sure. And then they were like, yeah, great. If you can have the self-tape in by Wednesday, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I was like, am I auditioning for my own role that's written based off of me? And then my friend texted me and she was like, oh, cool. I'm reading for something on Cobra Kai. And I'm like, did they send out a national breakdown for a role that was written?
Yeah.
And anyways, I read for it. And at the time, Maria had a Brazilian accent. She wasn't Spanish.
Okay.
And so I did it with a Portuguese, inflection and submitted it. The anxiety of those 3 weeks before I actually got the call where they were like, hey, congrats, we are going to go with you. And I was like, I would hope so. Thank you. I'm so excited.
Wow. That is so awesome.
It was so funny. But yes, it was something that it felt very much like full circle. Don even invited my parents to be on set with us for one of my big fight
great.
days.
I love that guy. I haven't seen him in probably about 20 years, but I've followed him, heard his name. He's wonderful.
Yeah.
Congratulations that
Thank you.
He took notice to that, which was obvious. I want to speak about a lot of your credits. Black Panther. Yeah. You were a stunt actress in that. Now I know we are limited to, getting into technically what we did.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Could you speak about your stunt doubling on Peacemaker?
Actually, so on Peacemaker, that was a lot of fun. I absolutely love Sol Rodriguez. She and I actually became really good friends, and we would go out to lunch sometimes, and people would ask us and be like, "Are you guys sisters?" I'd be like, "No, I'm her stunt double," but that makes sense. Thank you.
No.
She was just such a sweetheart, and she was so hardworking. It was an absolute honor to help bring Sasha Bordeaux to life. That was a great one. But on going back to Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, that one I can kind of talk about because that being Marvel was a really big deal. And I want to point out that Chris Dennison was the one that hired me on that when I only had 2 credits on my resume. And that was a really big indicator of the trust level that he had watching my reel or maybe word of mouth from somebody else. I never got around to asking him. I should ask him. But for me to not have that many credits and for him to put me in such a specific spot, I was up on a spin rig lollipop lunch and I was on main unit with the actors and I was with the director, Ryan, almost great, just phenomenal director. And to be trusted with that. Unfortunately, that scene did end up on the cutting room floor as
Welcome to my
per
world.
usual. As per usual, right? Welcome to film. But the experience and what it meant when Chris just welcomed me with open arms and hugged me when I got on set and was like, "All right, where's your harness? Let's go get harnessed up. Let's go put you up there." And just it meant a lot. And still to this day, I remember it.
No. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Being that you and your husband are in the business, when he got that phone call and you didn't, because I had briefly dated a stunt girl, and she's doing amazing. We're best of friends and all, and but at that time, there was like, you got the phone call, but I'm not working. Does that create a little bit of an issue or a jealousy?
I don't think so because we are we're serial entrepreneurs.
Okay.
So there is always a tag in, tag out moment. And we are so confident in our ability. We are confident in what we do. And we're confident in just our faith in general. Like what is meant for us will not pass us by. If we didn't get called for a job, imagine if we were going to get injured on that job or you didn't get that call for a reason. I just remember being so confident that I was going to get the call for Maria. It wasn't even a matter of like, did I not get it? It was just a matter of like, I'm waiting. And I was so anxious waiting. And I was like, okay, why do I have to keep waiting? So that one in specific wasn't, I just knew Maria was for me. But when one or the other gets called for something, the other one is working really hard at everything else. So we have multiple businesses. We teach seminars around the world. We're actually about to get up and I leave at 5 a.m. to Europe, and we're teaching martial arts seminars in Europe. All to say, like, we know that we are working so hard at so many things that what is meant for us is going to find us. And when there is natural alignment and things like this happen where, yes, I'm busy and I just flew in from somewhere. I worked a fire gag yesterday, and today was literally the only day I had open. And I fly to Europe tomorrow. Like I knew that this was meant to be. And that's why I get to say yes to so many things. I have a business mentor, Aaron Hensley, and he says, God put you on this earth. God put you on this earth to say yes to everything. And if you can't say yes to it, it's not because you can't. It's because you haven't put the things around you in place to be able to say yes. So if you feel like you can't say yes because you don't have the time, you need to hire other people to do the other things so that you can say yes to those things. And so I think we just trust so hard that we're going to be where we need to be, that there's no jealousy. We're just rooting for each other.
Well, I think you guys may also want to write a book about working with a partner. A lot of marriages and relationships don't have that partnership, that confidence in uh, each other, and I think that's what sometimes sacrifices the relationship. So good on you guys about that. Um, you've seemed very, very confident, and you just radiate confidence. Is there any type of fear? Do you have any fears? Because it's a huge misconception that stunt people are just fearless, and so many of us have so many different fears. What about you? Is there anything that scares you? I'm thinking not, but um, care to elaborate on that?
I'm afraid of getting hurt
Oh,
in a job where injury is not if but when. Um, I rely really deeply into my sense of risk mitigation and being able to make good judgment calls. Everything that I do, if I don't have three contingency plans, it takes me a lot to be able to throw it. So I'm usually that person that I don't need to show off. If I need to crawl to walk, then run, I will. And I think that doing that over and over and over again has led me to have this kind of confidence. I'm afraid of losing my husband. I'm afraid of losing my parents. So I work really hard to keep my health in a good place. And I'm inspired by the actions that my parents take holistically to keep their health in shape because I know that they don't want to lose me. I don't want to lose them. And I think we all just mutually inspire each other, leading by example rather
yeah.
than telling them, like, I need you to take care of yourself because I'm scared of losing you.
No.
We do it for ourselves, and in turn, it inspires the other person to also want to do it for you. So I'm afraid of getting hurt, and I'm afraid of losing those close to me.
Sure. Okay, those are very, very common fears, but just your love for your parents that you express is just also, I mean, it's really amazing. It's we're losing that. The younger generation is just kind of losing that. So your parents did a good job on you.
Well, don't get me wrong. I had my time where I was like, I've been hyper independent
Sure,
since I
yeah.
was born. I mean, I was ready to move out. I was helping run the business, like the karate school since I was 10 years old, like leading class. I've always been hyper independent. And I think that's also something that we say in our relationship is, I don't need you. I
Right.
want you
Right.
because we're hyper independent people. So we're co-independent. And that allows us to have our own aspirations, our own lived experiences without having to be always together. And I had my time where I didn't really feel like I needed my parents. Like, I got this. I'm good. Like, why do they keep calling? But there comes a time where you learn to really appreciate them. And especially seeing how other people are raised or hearing their relationships with their parents. And I get to say, like, I didn't have that experience. I had phenomenal parents, and it just makes you appreciate them more and more. So now I'm at a time in my life where I call my parents and I say I miss them, and I try to fly them in as much as I can. And I got sick while I was at a premiere of a movie that at my first feature film that I produced. I landed in Texas, and like the next day I woke up and I had a fever. I was sick. I had just recently had a heat stroke coming from a job in like the desert. And so all this stuff was just snowballing.
Yeah.
I called my mom while I was in Texas and I was like, I'm going to be at the film festival, but I'm going to leave right after. How soon can you be at the airport? She was like, I'll be there in an hour. She was at the airport. We landed in Atlanta at the same time, and she took care of me and nursed me back to health. So, like, those things, they help you to just love them more.
Sure.
But I needed my time away to be like,
Right.
we come back to it.
If a young girl is watching now, what advice would you give them? Or a young boy? I happen to check you out. You have quite a bit of your following, over 1 million. Do you what advice would you give them? Um, you know, maybe not necessarily for stunts or acting, even martial arts. If there's somebody listening, what advice would you give them as far as self confidence and respecting parents and others? And I'll let you elaborate on that as well.
Yeah. So by the way, that's a phenomenal question. It's my favorite question in the world because when I was in college, I remember having a class where I was just writing down and I wrote down this sentence that has been my code. Like it's been my mission statement ever since. I exist to inspire. And I really truly feel that I am here and I exist to inspire. The reason why I opened up my social media was because I wanted to be a good example and role model and inspiration to young girls specifically. Um, I feel like social media had a lot of sexualizing of the martial arts, and it broke my heart because I felt like it was so opposed to everything that the martial arts is, right? All the tenets that you're taught and the respect, the humility, discipline, perseverance, like all of those things that you're taught in just for likes, for follows. Like I didn't understand. So I went the hard route and I wanted to make a good, clean social media page and grow it to inspire young girls and show them like, you don't need to show off your body or sexualize the martial arts to do what you do it well, and still make it and have the followers and have brand deals. But in general, whatever it is that you do, treat yourself and treat whatever it is that you're doing like a business, right? So, what do you want to be known for? And I call it the brand Bible. Figure out your brand Bible in whatever it is that you're going to do. What do I want to be known for? What do I do? And what am I putting out to the world? What do I not do? And what will I not put out into the world? And follow that like a code of ethics.
Yeah.
Create your own brand Bible that you follow. And everything that you do has to be in alignment with that. It has to pass the test. For example, when I created my Instagram, I still have it in my notes to this day. My username is karate.jewels. So that's the name, that's the brand. Now, what do I want to be known for? I want to be known for an inspirational female martial artist, stunts, and lifestyle. Just a good, fun lifestyle. And what do I not want to be known for? I do not want to be known for being overtly sexual. I do not want to be known for somebody that talks about politics or religion on social media.
Bingo.
I don't want to be someone that slanders or talks negatively about others. And so it's just helped me in all the decisions that I make physically in person. It definitely affects what kind of jobs I take.
Wow.
It affects everything, but it all started because 9 years ago, I sat down with myself and I decided, okay, if I exist to inspire, what do I do? What do I not do? And I'm going to live by that in whether somebody's looking or not, whether it gets attention or views or not, does this pass my moral code?
You post an impressive stunt reel, and boom, you've got a wide audience of possible coordinators watching you. You put something up there that's what's happening recently, or political, religious. That's it. You're done.
So many doors.
Yeah, you're on a list.
You can either open doors, you can close doors, and again, with like they say in Spider-Man, like with great power comes great responsibility. But it also goes to say it doesn't happen overnight. I opened Karate Jewels February of 2017, and I have worked on it every single day, 4 to 6 hours every single day, no days off, whether it's editing, studying, captioning, drafts, studying the different social media markets. Like I work on my craft. I have note pages. It didn't happen overnight. I built something. So every time that I use it, I ask myself, am I opening doors or am I closing doors? Because I have worked for 7 years, basically a secondary full-time job for this. I don't want to lose this. So again, does it pass my moral code of ethics? Does this fit within my brand Bible? Yeah.
Did you have a vision board or kind of like a wish list of goals that you would just kind of, because it sounds like you had this all like with you expecting the phone call for your part. It sounds like, okay, this is coming to me. I worked it, trained for it, earned it, waiting for it.
Absolutely. I read a lot. I didn't finish high school. Technically, I got kicked out high school when I was younger. That's another long story.
A karate kick?
I wish.
Yeah.
I dropped out of college. And so with the lack of education there, I have always made it a priority to educate myself. So I read a lot, I write a lot, I sit with myself, I sit with my feelings, and I see, okay, where do I want to go and what do I need to do to get there? So if I want to go into social media, what is social media? It's marketing. So I read marketing books. How do these things? But also, I'm a really spiritual person. I always have been. My family has always been. And so I write a lot. I read, I annotate, I write, I put things into action. I don't just read a book. I sit there, okay, if it's telling me to do this, how do I implement it right away? And so it's the same thing when working stunts or working with a director. If you're getting a note, you need to be able to know how to implement it right away. And so I think that's what's given me such a steady course of manifesting coming in, is because I put in the work. And so that kind of confidence, that law of assumption, like, well, I did the work, so I know it's coming. And if it doesn't, it wasn't meant for me. And the next best thing that I couldn't have even wished for will be there. And so vision boards, always had vision boards, or even the lock screen of my phone, or little things, just reminders, so that I know that I'm going to think about it. I'm going to be able to put the intention behind it. I'm going to see it. So I'm going to visualize it. I'm going to be able to close my eyes for a second and feel it in my heart space, and then be confident that it's coming. Not, it's coming, but it is done. Right. And something recently that happened that was really cool. And I remember specifically the analogy I gave. I was working in Miami on a show for the Dashnaws. Fantastic show. I'm 1X, living the dream in Miami with my parents. I also was able to get a good bit of my friends on. So I had Steven Rodriguez and Nick Pelikai staying at my parents' house. And we had stayed up watching Den of Thieves. And these two guys are like my brothers. We've been in this industry for a good bit. And so we kind of were having that chat after, like, what's next? Like, what are we dreaming about? What's the one thing that you wish you could do? And I said, man, in quotations, I know this is kind of crazy, but if I would pull a sumo wrestler up Mount Everest with solely the strength of my pinky toe, if I could work for Martin Scorsese, which is funny because I'm not Italian, but he's just that one person that I'm dying to work for. 2 weeks later, I'm up in Atlanta and Daniel Hargrave calls me and he's like, hey, buddy, what's up? You want to come to a high school pool party and do some stunts? And I was like, sure, I'll take a daily. So I show up and I'm doing a keg stand at a pool party. I come down and one of the actresses is walking by and he goes, you kind of look like her. You want to do a car hit in a few weeks? And I was like, let's rock. I'd love to. So a few weeks later, I come back in and I'm going to the fitting for that gag. And I'm looking at posters. Doesn't even fear Robert De Niro. That was such a good movie. And the original one is from 1962. Wow. So another like Martin Scorsese, Goodfellas, I think was the other poster. And I'm just like, wow. And then I go into the fitting and they're like, yeah, blah. And I go, oh, by the way, I still haven't asked, what's this for? Because it's working under a code name. And they go, oh, Cape Fear remake. And I go, oh.
Wow.
So just by chance, is Martin on this? And they go, yeah, he's the EP. And so is Robert De Niro. And Martin is here with his daughter every once in a while.
Yes.
And I go, and I look at my phone and like 2 weeks. I manifested that in 2 weeks or like something like that. I think it was like a few weeks. But I turn around and I go, $1 million, $1 million, $1 million, $1 million. Because if I could manifest Martin Scorsese in 2 weeks or a few weeks, however long it was not that long. $1 million, $1 million. You know,
that is so awesome. But, after this, I want to show you something.
I'm so excited.
Also, no, he was.
Hey, you're Italian. I know.
You're talking to me now.
I'm talking to the right guy.
Yeah, wow. That's that was always somebody that I always wanted to work with. And we'll speak of this off camera, but I also did a little manifesting of my own. There's a ton of questions that, I would love to ask you, but I'm going to have your husband sitting here soon. And I want to invite both you guys because I think, I just think just the energy and just the conversations to have both of you guys. I'm going to kindly ask you after your travels, and I'm also doing a little bit of traveling, but I would love to get both of you guys here. I just think that the conversation would just flow. And I'm going to hold off on the other questions. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. Once again, I know I said that a couple of times, not only for your time, but your openness. And is there anything before I give my final and credits that you would like to say? There's a little camera there. Not to put you on the spot, but I know you can handle it. Is there anything that you want to close with?
Sure. First, I want to say thank you so much for having me. You're such an inspiration. You're such a cool person, such a cool guy. You have done such amazing things. And I would love, in turn, one day for you to maybe consider allowing me to switch seats with you and interview you, because I think the world deserves to hear some stories from you.
I'm comfortable driving, but we'll talk about that.
I want to hear more of all the things that Carl has done. You have lived a life so full, and I'm sure you have a lot of stories to inspire others. So thank you so much for having me and pouring into me. But seriously, I'm just honored to be here with you. And to whoever is watching, I would love to just inspire you to be the best version of yourself, whether anybody is watching or not. I know that in the world that we live in, a lot of the things that we do are, social media is involved, or is there a camera on us if we're talking about film or stunts or whatnot. But truly, who you are and what you do behind closed doors, if you're happy going to sleep at night, do whatever you do and follow your own brand Bible, right? Find your code of ethics and be the best version of yourself every day. I think the world needs more of that authenticity. You don't have to be perfect. Progress over perfection is much more inspiring than someone that is cookie cutter perfection. Have way too much AI. Just be you. So thank you so much for watching and listening.
That is Jewelianna Ramos Ortiz. If you haven't heard of her and you live under a rock, look her up either on IMDb or just Google her. Jules, it is Karate
Jewels, yeah.
Karate
on all
Jules,
socials.
and that's JEWELS.
Correct.
Or Jewelianna Ramos Ortiz. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You rock.
You too.
Take care.